My dad and my uncle tracked a mountain lion through my neighborhood in the dark. And here's the story to prove it.
That's right, just as you heard it from Hunter, my 10-year-old son, on December 6, 2022. We had a mountain lion come into our neighborhood here in northwest Las Vegas, and based on the photographs and videos that we have compiled that you will see in this video, it appears that that mountain lion ended up staying the entire day in our neighborhood.
Yep, that's right, Dad. Why don't you show him video 1?
Okay, so let's show it to him, Hunter. So video 1 here is from a neighbor's Ring camera from their front yard. This video shows a timestamp of approximately 6 a.m. on December 6, 2022. As you will see in this video, the mountain lion has already made a kill. It's killed a large black house cat, and it has that cat in its jaws. The cougar walks down the street and lays down with its kill. Again, a zoomed in version of this video, some screenshots from it clearly show that this cougar has already made a kill at 6 a.m. or a little earlier on December 6, 2022, and is now taking that kill down the street.
Holy cow, that's crazy, Dad.
Okay, Hunter, why don't you tell everybody about what happened that morning?
Okay, Dad, I will. So around 7:40, after we ate breakfast, we went out and I was ready to hop into my van outside, and then my friend pulled up in her mom's van and said, "There's a cougar in the neighborhood." Then we all rushed inside the van and went to school.
That's right. So as Hunter was saying, our friend down the street was getting ready to take his kid to school, and he looked over, and on the wall next to his house, as you'll see in this picture that he took, there was the cougar up on this wall. That wall sits about 15 feet high. So the cougar was there. He told me later that there was other neighbors walking around and that they were walking their dogs, and he told them to be careful, and he pointed out the cougar. They saw the cougar. They were very surprised, so they turned around and went back.
That's crazy. Why wouldn't anybody show up to take away the mountain lion?
I have no idea. It was crazy that animal control never showed up and NDOW never showed up. Like we'll talk about towards the end of this video, nobody even showed up till about 11:50 that night.
Well, what happened next, Dad? I was at school.
Well, from there we know that the mountain lion then jumped into the backyard, and he stayed back there behind some large bushes for about 25 to 30 minutes. As this video shows that you're now watching, the mountain lion then crosses the backyard and jumps over the wall. When he jumped over into the next yard, he actually fell into a pool. He then jumped over another wall, ran across a backyard, and then jumped into another backyard.
Are you serious?
Yep, I'm completely serious, because I went down and talked to the lady who owns the house at the very end of the street. And like you'll see in this video now, she heard a large commotion in her backyard, so she went out. And guess what she saw? She saw a bunch of wet paw prints going across her yard, all the way over to her other wall, where the mountain lion then jumped up on that wall and then jumped down about 15 feet to the sidewalk and walked across the street. This neighbor then went out front, and she saw wet paw prints across the street, so she followed them. The wet paw prints went up to a front door of another house, and then the paw prints went across the driveway. From there, she told me that the paw prints suddenly stopped and she couldn't track it anymore. At about that time, it was like 8:05 in the morning.
That is crazy. Hey, are you guys talking about that mountain lion?
Yep.
Wow, this story sure gets crazy from here.
You're right, Addie. The story gets really crazy from here. So later that day, Hunter and Addison and their other brother and sister came home from school. We kept the kids in the house. Later that night, I figured I'd go on my nightly walk. I figured that the mountain lion would certainly be gone from our neighborhood, because that day we had a lot of landscapers come in with their leaf blowers making a lot of noise. I saw a lot of pool guys come and go, so I figured the mountain lion would be gone. So I went out on my walk around 9:30 that night.
What were you thinking?
I don't know what I was thinking, but like I said, I thought that the cougar would be gone. So I went on my walk around 9:30, and as I was walking, I got a ring notification on my phone. And it was actually from the same neighbor that had picked up on her ring at 6 a.m. that morning, the cougar with the dead cat in its mouth. But this neighbor didn't even know or realize it until her kid had gotten home from school later that day and saw a dead cat in their driveway with its legs chewed off. Isn't that crazy, Addison?
Yeah.
So on my walk that night, I opened up and read through her post, and I also saw her video, which you're going to see right here. The video shows the mountain lion coming back at 6 o'clock that night, so about 3 hours before I went on my walk, and the cougar came back to get the cat it had killed that morning to finish it off and eat the rest of it. That's crazy, isn't it, guys?
Yeah, it sure is.
A little viewer discretion is advised here. On December 7th, 2022, my neighbor actually sent me a video of the remnants of the cat that the lion had killed, and you're going to see that now. So while I was on my walk, I looked at the video and I was able to actually kind of tell what house it was based on the street and stuff like that. And I thought, that's crazy. This mountain lion is still here. It's been in our neighborhood, I assume, pretty much all day. Or at least it left and came back. And I thought, we've got to do something to try to find this thing and try to get it out of here. So I went home and called my brother, and he came over, and I grabbed my spotlight, and we got in his car and we drove over to this house. From there, I flipped on my spotlight and I immediately saw green glowing eyes.
Oh my gosh. That is crazy.
And then, of course, I saw the mountain lion. We saw the mountain lion there, and that's what you're seeing in these videos. The mountain lion kept putting her head down, and to make her put her head up for video, I had to make some sort of like cat noise, cat call, and so that's kind of what you're hearing in the background. At this point, it was between 10:30 and 11 o'clock at night on December 6, 2022. What we ended up doing is calling the Nevada Division of Wildlife hotline and talked to somebody. They asked us a few questions, then essentially said, well, I'll talk to my supervisor, and if we want to do something tonight and need your help, we'll call you back. We then sat there for 25 minutes and got no call. So we called 911 and reported it. 911 basically told us that they had already received similar calls and that if they were going to do anything that night, that they would call us and ask us questions. So it seemed like we were at a complete dead end with law enforcement and wildlife and animal management, and so we went home.
Why wouldn't anyone help?
So we went back to the house and he dropped me off and he went home. And then I got a call from my brother about 10 minutes later. NDOW had called him back and essentially said that they would send a game warden in the morning, which would be completely worthless. And he hung up with them. And then Metro actually called him and said that they had a motorcycle police officer in the area and were wondering if we would take him over and show him where this cougar was. So, of course, we said yes. And then this next video, you see us in the white car with the spotlight showing these two police officers where the cougar was. Of course, at first it seemed like they didn't really believe us. And then when I flipped on the spotlight and they saw it, they were quite surprised and they kind of hid behind our car, used it as a barrier. And then within not long at all, it seemed like seconds, there were squad cars that pulled up and those cops jumped out and we showed them the cougar and they were quite shocked. We stayed around for about 10 minutes and then we left. From there, the police stayed in the area. And from what we have been told, a Nevada Division of Wildlife game warden didn't come until 4 a.m. on December 7th, 2022 to tranquilize the cat.
Oh my gosh, that took way too long for them to respond.
You're not kidding. It took way too long for the authorities to get this situation under control, especially when we had called and told them that we literally had eyes on the cougar the whole night. when we were there with the spotlight.
Okay, guys, this is how my dad and uncle tracked down a cougar through my neighborhood at night. This is the end of the story. Please hope you enjoy, and
here are some interesting fun facts about the cougar. The puma, also known as the cougar or mountain lion, the puma is one of the biggest non-pantherine cats and is strong enough to kill a moose. So good thing they got rid of that thing just in time. Adaptable to different habitats, it has a vast range across the Americas, living in deserts, prairies, forests, and mountains.
another fun fact, cougars can jump over 20 feet high and run over 25 miles per hour in a short sprint.
We hope you enjoyed the video. Please like and subscribe.